Hey guys and girls, it's Aaron Lee here, and I'm here again to do another video on Iron Man 3, Under the Armor with Kevin Feige, Part 2. The producer behind Marvel's Iron Man 3 gives up more of the upcoming film. Posted April 3rd, 2013. 12:56 p.m. Updated April 3rd, 2013. 4:23 p.m. Kevin Feige, the producer behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe, returns once again to take you behind the action of the Marvel's Iron Man 3. In part 1 of our interview with Kevin Feige, he detailed the life behind the camera of Iron Man 3, discussing his creative team as well as his unique process for collaborating with them during production. Today's segment rotates the camera, spotlighting the actors and actresses it will bring the world of the armored Avenger to life. Once again, our female actors to life once again. Read on to hear about what's in the store for our heroes, supporting cast, and villains, and mark your calendars for the premiere Iron Man 3 in theaters and IMAX 3D. Iron Man and Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow in Iron Man 3. Marvel.com says, where do we find Pepper Potts at the beginning of this film? Kevin Feige says, Pepper Potts at the beginning of Iron Man 3 is running Stark Industries. She's the CEO of Stark Industries, as she was in Iron Man 2. And she's sort of accepting this notion that Stark Industries is something that Tony's no longer a part of. He's really focusing on the suits. He's focusing on being a superhero. And she is this incredibly powerful woman that has taken this position of power within the company. She's moved in with Tony, and they are certainly a couple now, and there are no secrets about that. As you saw in their relationship in Marvel's The Avengers, clearly it had progressed past the kiss at the end of Iron Man 2. So they are living together, and they are in a committed relationship, which again is somewhat unique to the superhero to the superhero genre. That is one of the reasons we really wanted to do it. But when you live with Tony Stark, Tony Stark, there are always issues, and there are always concerns. And one of the concerns at the beginning of this film is the fact that he is not sleeping. He's spending all of his time tinkering and building suits, and Tony's been doing nothing but building suits and suits and suits and suits. It's an obsession, and as Pepper calls it, his distraction. It's clearly affecting their relationship. Iron Man 3 soars into theaters and IMAX 3D May 3rd. Awesome. Marvel.com says Jon Favreau is reprising his role of Happy Hogan. What was it like having him back, but not in the director's chair this time around? Kevin Feige says having Jon Favreau on the movie, not just playing Happy Hogan, in as big a role that Happy Hogan's ever had in the Iron Man movies, but also as executive producer behind the scenes. He is a tremendous asset in regards to the script. Jon was very, very gracious. Is a tremendous asset in regards to the script. Jon was very, very gracious in the way that he helped. Iron Man 3 director Shane Black. Shane would ask him a question about either working with Robert Downey Jr. or setting up their character or getting the best out of any of the cast that had been in their prior movies, and even technical hello? Jon was very, very gracious in the way that he helped Iron Man 3 director Shane Black. Shane would ask him a question about either working with Robert Downey Jr. or setting up the character or getting the best out of any of the cast that had been in the prior movies, and even technical things. Jon is an A-list director now. He's done a tremendous amount of visual effects work and prides himself on being extremely knowledgeable about that. John's graciously shared that knowledge with Shane. It was really a very special thing to have John on set, and his part in this movie is in a way what activates Tony into his adventure in this movie. The heart at the core of this movie is not only Pepper. It is not only the little boy Harley. The little boy Harley. But it is Happy Hogan. John Steels. I think. Almost every scene. He's in Iron Man 3. It's hilarious, and he really gave his all. His all. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and Rhodey Don Cheadle. Team up in Iron Man 3. Marvel.com says, talk about Don Cheadle coming back as Rhodey, and where we find him at the beginning of this film. Kevin Feige says, when last we saw James Rhodes, played by Don Cheadle, he was flying away from Tony at the end of Iron Man 2, wearing the Mark II suit that he had taken from Tony's house. What we learned in the beginning of Iron Man 3 is that they've made an arrangement. Tony has let Rhodey have the suit. He's using it in conjunction with the U.S. government. So at the beginning of Iron Man 3, we see that the president has asked Rhodey as War Machine to get a new paint job, and take on the new moniker of the Iron Patriot in order to do American business and be the American hero, as opposed to the Avengers or Iron Man himself, who is sort of a separate entity. Rhodey, being a military man, does step into that proudly, but he's still best friends with Tony. So he is always giving information to Tony behind the scenes, and I think has been doing that since he got the suit in Iron Man 2. That relationship between Rhodes and Tony is core to the franchise and the comic books. In the Iron Man movies, up to now, Jim Rhodes has always been sort of Tony's conscience. He has been the person who has warned Tony. Are you sure? Are you sure you should be doing this? Are you going that way? Why are you doing this? In this movie, we're embracing more of their friendship and you see why they're best friends in this movie. Ben Kingsley stars as the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. In a way, it becomes a buddy action film. In the third act, where they team up, neither of them have a suit. At a certain point in the movie, and they really team up in a great sort of old-fashioned action movie way. And Don and Robert have such an amazing repertoire. Don can keep up with all of Robert's ad-libs in a way that almost always ends up in the movie in the perfect fashion. So seeing Don back is a huge pleasure, and he brings a level of authority to that part. You just believe everything he says, and then keeping up with Tony. It gives us that great shade, black banter. Marvel.com says, was the plan always to bring the Mandarin character into the Iron Man was the plan always to bring the Mandarin character into the Iron Man storyline? Sorry, I was clearing my throat there. But I will continue. I'm so interested in this story that this Kevin Feige guy is saying. Marvel.com says, was the plan always to bring... I said that right. I'll say it again. Was the plan always to bring the Mandarin character into the Iron Man storyline? Kevin Feige says, the Mandarin is unquestionably Tony Stark's greatest foe. The reason for that, frankly, is not because he's appeared in a lot of great stories, but he's just appeared in a lot of stories, going back to the early 60s. So if you ask the question, who is Iron Man's greatest foe? Odds are, people would say the Mandarin. And because of that, he's always been at the top of every list for each movie. In fact, he was a part of every draft of Iron Man until about 3 months before we started filming. Each time we came to another film, we talked about the Mandarin, but just didn't have a great idea of how to do it. His appearance in the comics are very dated in a lot of them. They are not appropriate anymore. And he's been updated in many ways, but not in a way that we ever found would work for the movie. Robert Downey Jr. stars as Tony Stark / Iron Man in Iron Man 3. Then Shane Black had an idea of making him somebody whose background is unknown. We don't know where he's from at first. but he seems to be some kind of military officer that has gone off the reservation. He is starting to pull all of this iconography, iconograph, iconograph, and symbolism from other cultures to his own ends, to use them as symbols, to pervert them as symbols, to pervert the symbol of the United States. He utilizes the moniker of the Mandarin he utilizes the moniker of the to pervert the symbol of the United States. He utilizes Shane Black had an idea of making him somebody whose background is unknown. We don't know where he's from at first, but he seems to be some kind of military officer that has gone off the reservation. He is starting to pull all of this iconography and symbolism from other cultures to his own ends, to use them as symbols to pervert the symbol of the United States. He utilizes the moniker of the Mandarin and robes with dragons on them, and uses South American sort of guerrilla tactics to create this aurora of fear of his terror organization. The Mandarin is sort of a very frightening modern-day terrorist who has taken terror motifs from all over the world to use his own ends. It was a very cool and relevant and scary idea. And the best thinking about the Mandarin in the comics has been known relentless. He was against Tony. When you see this film, something has happened in Act 1, and the Mandarin is deemed responsible. On national television, Tony says, I'm gonna come after you. I'm gonna come after you, Mandarin. I'm gonna find you. And within a day, the Mandarin has decimated Tony's house. Obadiah stayed. Didn't do that. Whiplash didn't do that. Loki didn't do that. The Mandarin does. It in the first act of Iron Man 3. This is very, very serious and very big. When we are casting the part we wanted someday, we wanted somebody whose authenticity and intonicity was not specific, and we wanted somebody who was a spectacular actor, Sir Ben Kingsley. was interested, and it all fell into place. The Iron Patriot armor and Iron Man 3. There are many different incarnations of the Mandarin. He sort of pulled from all the comic books to create this very unique and very iconic villain. When you first hear his voice in the trailer, it is unexpected. That came about because we needed Sir Ben to record some dialogue for a Comic-Con piece that we've done. He said that he has been working on the Mandarin's voice, so we let him try it. We all didn't know what to think at first, until we started laying it. We all didn't know what to think at first, until we started laying it into the picture and said, of course, some dialogue, Comic-Con piece that he said that he's been working on the Mandarin's voice. So let him try it. All didn't know what to think at first, until we started laying it into the picture and said, my God, it's brilliant. It's fascinating. And you can't put your finger on what it is or where it's coming from, which is exactly what the Mandarin is in this movie. So having Sir Ben Kingsley on board is amazing, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with his performance. Marvel.com says, talk about the character Killian and bringing in Guy Pearce. Kevin Feige says, we've been fans of Guy Pearce for years, and have wanted to cast him in almost every movie we've done. And this was the one where the timing worked out perfectly. Aldrich Killian, the character he plays, is somebody who is from the comics. It was a kernel of a character in the comics that we have expanded in a very big way in this movie. In this movie, we always watch with the Tony Stark films to have a character that represents a certain angle of his persona, and Killian is somebody who wants to be a mover and a shaker. He wants to be a loader in industry. Are we going to go back? That's talking about this is about the characters of the movie and the actors. It's about one of the characters from the comic books, from the Iron Man comics, from the Extremis guy. So Aldrich Killian, the character he plays, somebody who is from the comics. See? had comics in there. It was a kernel. I don't know what kernel means, but I said the word correct. Of a character in the comics that we have expanded in a very big way in this movie. We always want with Tony Stark films to have with Tony Stark films to have a character that represents a certain angle of his persona. And Killian is somebody who wants to be a mover and a shaker. He wants to be a leader in industry. Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Ulrich Killian, Guy Pearce, and Iron Man 3. Killian heads a brain trust organization called AIM that is developing extremists, which is something that taps into human DNA and is able to reprogram it and regenerate limbs and enhance strength and cure wounds. But it also could change the whole world. The whole world, which is what Killian intends to do with it. Okay. But it also could change the whole world, which is what Killian intends to do with it. Before I said is developing extremists, which is something that taps it into the human DNA and is able to reprogram it and generate limbs and enhance strength and cure wounds. But it also could change the whole world, which is what Killian intends to do with it. When you have Guy Pearce in scenes with Gwyneth Paltrow, in scenes with Robert Downey Jr., the level of acting is ×3. He is such an amazing actor, and such a dedicated actor across the board. Killian is a character that will surprise people. A character that will surprise people in seeing what Guy has brought to this part. Marvel.com says Extremis is based in biotech. Correct? Kevin Feige says yes. When we were developing Iron Man, a comic book came out called Extremis. It was written by Warren Ellis and drawn by Eddie Granova. And from the cover of the first issue, we realized it was the next level of Iron Man, and it worked perfectly, and the timing was perfect. We felt it was totally something that we could use to build the movie off of. We actually ended up hiring Eddie Granov to come on board and help in the initial designs of the Iron Man armor for the film. Rebecca Hall stars as Maya Henson in Iron Man 3. The tone of the relationship between Vince Jensen and Tony Stark. The idea of a bigger, bulkier version of the Mark I. All of that came from that storyline. In that storyline, there is extremis. There is extremis, which is a biological enhancement and sort of a biological weapon that people ingest and are able to do basically superhuman and spectacular things with each film. We thought, should we do extremis? My gut was, it's a part 3. So you guys understand that now? I told you what extremis is. I hope you know what it is. I'm talking about the relationship between Tony and Jensen from the first movie. The idea of a bigger, bulkier version of the Mark I. Mark I was from the first movie. All of that came from that storyline. But now in this movie, in that storyline, there was an extremist, which is a biological enhancement, sort of a biological weapon that people ingest and are able to do basically superhuman and spectacular things. With each film, we thought, should we do extremis? My gut was, it's a part 3. It's a part 3. So as we started developing Iron Man 3, we ended up pulling from that greatly. Marvel.com says, talk about casting Rebecca Hall to play Maya Henson. Maya Henson. Kevin Feige says, we saw Rebecca Hall in a Woody Allen movie. That when we saw her in The Town, she's an amazing actress. She's one of, it's talking about Maya Henson, Rebecca Hall. In The Town. You know, the Town was a movie by Ben Affleck, movie. They say she's an amazing actress, and that she's one of the best actresses working today. It is a tough thing casting these movies, because we have to find great actors that can fit into the ensemble of great actors that we already have in our cast. Rebecca, thankfully, was very interested in joining us and has done an amazing job. She and Tony Stark have a past, and there's a scene early in the film that has some romantic overtones. There's a scene early in the film that has some romantic overtones to it, and it's a lot of fun to then see the triangle between Pepper and Tony. Tony and Maya, and see how it takes an unexpected turn. Tony's expanse. Rebecca is just spectacular at those scenes, and at showing how torn her character, how torn her character. Rebecca is just spectacular at those scenes, and at showing how torn her character is between knowing she's invented something that can do such amazing things, but see how wrong it's gone and how dangerous it's become. It's become. Iron Man's seen better days in Iron Man 3. Marvel.com says, talk about casting James Badge Dale as Savin. Kevin Feige says, James Badge Dale plays a. Kevin Feige says James Badge Dale plays a character known as Savin. He works for Guy Pearce's character. Aldrich Killian. You don't know a lot about Savin at first. But as the movie unfolds, you learn more and more that he is a very frightening individual, and he's somebody that has used Maya Henson's technology extremists for his hello? You don't know a lot about Savin at first. But as the movie unfolds, you learn more and more that he's a very frightening individual. And he's also in the comics too. And he's a bad guy in the extremist storyline in the comics. This movie he's the second villain in this movie. There's a lot of villains in this movie. And they say he's a very frightening individual. And he's somebody that has used Maya Henson's technology extremists for his own ends. He's somebody who can talk around. He's somebody who can walk around and seemingly be just sort of an average Joe, but who presents himself with such a cocky confidence that you're not sure where that's coming from, or why he has it. And then you see what he can do. James is an amazing actor whom we looked at for a number of different films. We saw him for the first time in the miniseries, The Pacific, where he does a tremendous job. He did a great performance in The Gray last year. The Gray is the Wolf movie with Liam Neeson last year. For this role, that is not the lead character or the lead hero, and that's also the Wolf movie. That is not the lead character or the lead hero or the lead villain. We wanted an actor who can rise above, who can hold his own against this cast. And from day one, James came and and proved that he could do that perfectly. He can be very funny when he wants to be, and he can't be very scary when he wants to be, and he does both in this movie very well. That's it for you guys, girls. Sorry I keep repeating myself and stuff. I didn't mean to, but in my opinion, this movie is pretty cool. I'm liking this more and more every time I read the article about this movie, and I do enjoy it. And I will make more videos like these in the future. But I'll do it. And they have the last article of Iron Man. I'll be done. All right. I'll see you later in the next video for you guys and girls. And also rate, leave a like, add to favorites, do more subscribing, and please give me a 6,000 views on this video. And leave your thoughts and opinions too, people who are out there in the world. And that's and I'll leave comments too. I forgot that. But I hope you enjoyed. It was a blast that you guys like my videos. Keep watching my videos, people. You'll be entertained for a long time, as long as I live. All right, toodaloo. Bye.